Alright, let's talk about combining like terms and order of operations. This is really the combining like terms video, but it's pretty simple, so we're going to throw in some order of operation questions just to keep it challenging and see something work together. Alright, so for the first one, we are going to have n plus 2 plus n. And all we're really going to do here is combine like terms, so we see that n to the first and n to the first, and a constant of 2. We are going to be able to add n plus n, which will give us 2n, in the same way that 3 plus 3 is equal to 3 times 2. And then we're going to also still have this term left over of plus 2, so we'll have 2n plus 2 for our answer, and that's what we'll look for on the test. Alright, let's go to a little bit harder one. Alright, so next we have x squared plus x plus 3y. Oh, sorry. Plus 3 plus y. So what we're going to do here is first identify each of the variables and their powers. So here we have an x squared. Here we have x to the first. Here we have a constant. And here we have a new variable y to the first. Well, as you see, as I went along and marked each one with different colors, none of the colors match. On the test, again, I like to write it this way. We'll start with the straight line, square, triangle, and I guess we'll go for pentagon or really poorly shaped house. So we again have none of the same shapes, so we know we have no like terms. So what we need to do this correctly is write it in descending order. So we're going to start with the highest power, or the term with the variable with the highest degree, which here we have x squared. Now we're going to go down 1, and we're going to have any of the variables to the first power. Well, we have an x to the first power and a y to the first power. This is your preference. I prefer to keep my x's together. And then I'm going to have my plus y and plus 3. That is the correct answer. They are both already combined. The like terms are already combined in both of these. But on the test, your answer is going to look like what's in the box, not what we started with. Alright. Let's go to number 3. Sorry, I went in and wrote these down ahead of time. So we have x cubed, y squared, z minus x cubed y z squared plus 3x y squared z. And when I say x or z with not a squared or cubed or to the fourth, that simply means to the first power, minus a negative x cubed y squared z. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, as always, is look inside of the parenthesis and see if there's anything I can do. Well, there's not. So I'm going to get rid of the parenthesis, and how do I do that? I'm going to distribute in the understood -1. So what's going to end up happening inside the parenthesis is my sign's going to flip. I'm going to end up with plus x cubed y squared z. And instead of just copying everything again, I'm going to squeeze it in up here. We'll go ahead and get rid of all that too. So we have plus x squared, no, x cubed y squared z. Yes. Okay. Did I get rid of... Oh, this one's a train wreck. Alright, let me double check here. X cubed y squared. X cubed y squared minus x cubed y z squared plus 3xy squared z plus x cubed y squared z. Okay, now we're back on track. So this one's a little trickier because we have so many variables in each term. So what I've underlined here is just one term, and we have 1, 2, 3 different variables. So I'm going to look at x cubed, y squared, and z, and I'm going to see if I have any matches. I have x cubed here. That's good to go. Y squared, but I only have y to the first, so we cannot combine these two. So I'm going to put a straight line under this one and a square under this one, so now I know I'm not going to be able to combine those. And then I'm going to move on. Well, I have a coefficient. That doesn't change anything. So I'm looking at x. Well, x cubed, we can't do anything. Let's throw a triangle under it. Now I'm going to come back to this one and say, well, I have x cubed, y squared, z. X cubed does not, okay, here we go. X cubed, y, it's not y squared, so we're not going to use it. But I have x cubed, y squared, z. So I'm going to put a straight line under it. And now I'm going to go by the rewrite them in descending order. Well, I have x cubed here and here. So I'm going to go to the next variable and see what its power is, which is on this one y squared. And on this one it's y to the first. So this one is going to take precedent in my descending order. And I'm going to have x cubed, y squared times z. And I have another line, so it's already a giveaway to me that I'm going to have plus x cubed, y squared, z. Dealt with this one and this one, so now I can move on. I have x cubed and I have x to the first, so I'm going to have minus. I'm going to use my square term here. X cubed, y, z squared, and my last but not least, plus 3x, y squared, z. Now all I have to do is combine my like terms I have here. Let's see. So I have two that are underlined. So they're exactly the same. So really I'm just going to have 2x cubed y squared z minus x cubed y z squared plus 3x y squared z. And I can go back through and just make sure that I haven't missed any opportunities. So I have x cubed and x cubed, y squared, y to the first. So that cannot be combined. And this is not x cubed as these two are, so they cannot be combined. Here is the final answer that you'll be looking for on the test. Alright, I believe we're on number 4 now. This one's going to be about the same, I believe. We have 5m squared, n squared. I think this is on the pretest actually. M squared. This one's not. N times n minus 6m squared n squared. So we can look right here and say, well, we have 5m. Let's not even worry about the coefficients here, the 5 and the 6 right now. We're going to look at just the variables and their powers. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're really looking at to see if we can combine the terms. We have m squared and n squared. We have m squared n times n and m squared n squared. So right off the bat, we know this term and this term can be combined. But there's something peculiar about this one. Why would we have n times n? Let's take just a second. We're going to think about if we can do something to n times n to make it match the other variables and their degrees so that we can combine this whole thing together very nicely. Well, if you think about it, n times n is really equal to n squared. So we could rewrite this as m squared n squared. And of course, we have a leading coefficient of an understood 1. So now what we have is m squared, n squared, m squared, n squared. So actually, all three of these can be combined. So we're just going to go left to right. 5 plus 1 is 6 m squared, n squared, minus, and then we're going to bring this term down, 6 m squared, n squared. Well, they're going to cancel out. And our final answer is going to be 0. Don't be scared of that answer on the test. When you start with this and you see 0 as your answer, you're going to second guess yourself if you're not prepared for it. There's nothing wrong with an answer of 0 when we're combining like terms. Alright, let's see what we have here. 33 minus x cubed minus 3 plus x. Oh, we've seen so many of these now. You're probably thinking, why do you keep showing them to us? Well, let's see them in as many different ways as possible. Nothing to do with this 33, is just the constant out by himself. But we do have a -1 here to distribute in, so all of our signs are going to flip. So we're going to end up with minus x cubed plus 3 minus x. What do we do from here? Write them in descending order. X cubed. Let's make sure we bring the sign with us. Minus x plus 3 plus 33. So now we have negative x cubed minus x plus 36 for our final answer. Easy enough. And we're going to go one last one, but it's going to be considerably longer than the others. Alright, so here's our problem. We were presented with x plus 2, and then we have all of this multiplied throughout. Are we going to be distributing the 2 to this? X squared minus 4 plus 5 minus -2 plus 4 times 2x. So here's really where the order of operations kicks in and is very important. What do we do first? We're going to identify where our, so this parenthesis opens. Where does it close? Well, it's the first, so it's got to close with the last. And then we're going to start where we opened it and scan for any more. Well, that should not have been there. We're going to have this one opens and there's no more after, so it closes here. So now we know we're going to work the green inside the green parenthesis first, then inside the red, then do our multiplication by distributing in, and then we'll just be able to simplify. This is order of operations, and we are doing the P portion of PEMDAS so far. So we have 4 plus -2, which gives us 2. Now let's go ahead and recopy everything. Alright, so now we've taken care of this. And there's another email from somebody on tutoring. I think that happened in the last video I recorded also. So now we've done this parentheses taken care of. We can actually drop them at this point, but we've included them. So we're going to start at the beginning and look for any multiplication or division. Well, we have a subtraction, addition, subtraction, multiplication. So this becomes 4x. Still not done with the parentheses yet. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and clean up this final part in here. So there's nothing to do with the x squared still, but we can do -4 plus 5, which will give us plus 1 minus 4x. And we're going to go ahead and copy the rest because we still haven't done anything with them. There is nothing to do in here. We cannot combine any like terms. We've cleaned that up as much as possible. So now, and we're fortunate enough for the first time in a long time to have something other than an understood 1 to distribute. So we're going to go ahead and start by recopying this portion because this is not being affected by the distribution. But we do have a positive 2 coming in. So we have 2x squared and plus 2 times 1 minus 2 times 4x, which will not result in 4x, but minus 8x. And now we have the option to go ahead and try and combine like terms, or go ahead and write them in descending order. It's a tutorial video. We're learning to take the test. We want to see every step. I'm going to write them in descending order first. I have my 2x squared. I'm going to go ahead and cross it out. And I have an x, so it's positive. So I'm going to include that. Now I have a negative 8x, so minus 8x, and I'm left with my constant of plus 2 or positive 2. So now I can simply combine like terms. That's going to give me negative 7x plus 2. And that's what we're looking for on the test. So I hope this one helped. I know this was a long problem, but very simple. You know, go back, challenge yourself, see if you can do them without the video. See if you make a mistake. If you do, watch the video again, and hopefully the next time you'll pick it up with no problem.